Ever wake up with your siblings saying, you know what, let's do some horrible stuff? Well, today we're going to go over Jonathan Reginald Carr and their Wichita Massacre. Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to go over the Wichita Massacre, the Carr brothers. Thank you very much, Stephen Fish, great fan of the podcast and friend of mine. He was taught we took a 5-hour talk after we got done with the podcast about the BTK killer and how he was a scoutmaster last episode. And yeah, we ended up talking about these guys. It was his suggestion, so I'm going with his suggestion. And looking back on it, yes, it was really, really strange. Let's begin. The Wichita Massacre, also known as the Wichita Horror, was a week-long violent crime spree perpetrated by the brothers Reginald and Jonathan Carr in the city of Wichita, Kansas, which, you know, watch the other podcast, you'll figure it out. Between December 8th and December 15th, 2000, 5 people were killed and 2 people, a man and a woman, were severely wounded. The brothers were arrested and convicted of multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, robbery, and rape. They were both sentenced to death in October 2002. Their various crimes created panic in the Wichita area, resulting in an increase of gun sales, locks, and home security systems. It was the deadliest mass shooting in Kansas history. I don't think it was a mass shooting. Oh, God. We'll get into it. In my opinion, I don't really think it was a mass shooting, but anyways. The case was received significantly attention because the killer's death sentence had been subject to various rulings related to the use of executions in Kansas. In 2004, the Kansas Supreme Court overturned the state death penalty law, but the Kansas Attorney General appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which upheld the constitutionality of death penalties in Kansas. On July 25th, 2014, the Kansas Supreme Court again overturned the Carr's death sentence in the legal technicality related to the original trial. Judge not giving each brother a separate penalty proceeding. After the appeal by State Attorney General to the U.S. Supreme Court, it overturned the decision of Kansas Supreme Court in January 2016, reinstated the death sentence. The Carr's brothers are incarcerated in death row in El Dorado Correctional Facility. Yes, the latest one is they are sentenced to death, but this is the crime spree. The Carr brothers were from Dodge City, Kansas. Reginald Dexter Carr Jr., who was born November 14th, 1978, a year before this guy's birthday. Literally a year. I was born on November 14th. But Jonathan Daniels Carr was born March 30th, 1980. At the time of the Wichita Massacre, both 23-year-old Reginald and 20-year-old Jonathan had lengthy criminal records already. On December 8th, 2000, having recently arrived in Wichita, the brothers robbed and wounded a 23-year-old Andrew Sherber. Stephanie Hawking, can you give us a definite definition of how do you pronounce this guy's last name?
Schreiber.
Okay, I was right. Schreiber. And an assistant baseball coach. 3 days later, on December 11th, they shot 55-year-old Celis and librarian. Is Celis? Yeah, Celis. And librarian and Walta. As she tried to escape from them in her car. She died 3 weeks later in a hospital from her wounds. On December 14th, the brothers broke into the house of 12727 East Birchwood Drive in Wichita Inside the property, which they had chosen at random, were Brad Heideka, Heather Moeller, Aaron Sander, Jason Bedford, and his girlfriend, the young woman identified as Holy G. And okay, that's weird. Heika was a director of finances at the local finance service company. Mueller was a local preschool teacher. Sanders, a former financial analyst who had been studying to become a caprice, and Bedford was a local high school teacher. Holly G was a teacher as well. At first, the car searched the house for valuables. Bedford had intended to propose to Holly, and she found this out when the cars discovered the engagement ring hidden in the popcorn box. Oh, that's gotta suck, man. After burgling the house, the cars forced their victims to strip naked and bound them. The brothers then repeatedly raped the two women and forced the men to engage in sexual acts with the women and the women with each other. After taking the victims in Bedford's truck to the ATM to empty out their bank accounts, they drove to the closest Skyker soccer complex on the outskirts of Wichita, where they shot all five execution style in the back of their heads. The cars then drove Bedford's truck over to their bodies and left them for dead. Holly G survived because her plastic beret deflected. Oh, wow. That's fucking luck. Holly G survived because her plastic beret deflected the bullet to the side of her head, where the other four were killed instantly. She walked naked for more than a mile in the freezing weather to seek first aid shelter at the house. Before getting medical treatment, she reported the incident and describes that her attackers to couples who took her in before the police arrived. After the killings, the cars returned to the house to ransack it for more valuables, where they used a golf club to beat Holly's pet dog, Nikki, what piece of shit. Why would you beat the fuck out of the dog? Anyways, police captured both Carr brothers the next... Sorry. Police captured both Carr brothers the next day. Both Schreiber and the dying Welland identified Reginald. The district attorney said that they believed their motives was robbery based on evidence. With the help of Holly's testimony at the trial, both brothers were convicted for nearly 113 counts against them, including kidnapping, robbery, rape, 4 counts of capital murder, and 1 count for first-degree murder. Now, the difference between capital murder is a category of murder in some parts of the U.S. for which the predator is eligible for the death penalty. In the original sense, capital murder was a stationary offense of aggravated murder in Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland. But the first degree is a unlawful killing of another human without justification or valid excuse, committed with the necessary intent as defined as law in the specific jurisdiction. Oh, God, that was a hard word. Can't even say it. Never mind. Reginald Carr was convicted of 50 counts and Jonathan Carr of 43. They were sentenced to death for capital murder and life imprisonment with decades to serve before they were eligible for parole. Their cases were appealed, and they were appealed to the death sentence. And this is that statement right here. There has been continuing attention to the Carr brothers cases because the various rulings about the Kansas death penalty law and the decision by its high courts on such cases. Such cases. In 2004, the Kansas Supreme Court overturned the state death penalty law, but the state general attorney appealed this ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court. It upheld the constitutionality of the state's death penalty law, which returned the Cards and the other condemned killers to death row. On July 25th, 2014, the Kansas City Supreme Court announced it had overturned the Carr's death sentence on appeal. The sixth justice minority said they did so because the trial judge failed to critically, I think it's adequately separate the penalties processing for each defendant. According to the release from the Kansas City Supreme Court Public Information Officer, the court unanimously reversed 3 of the each defendant's 4 capital convictions because jury instructed on sex crime based capital murder was finally invidious, and 3 of the multiple homicide capital murder charges duplicity the first. The High Court upheld most of the convictions against each other and the brothers, despite other purposely lower courts errors. The court ruled that the brothers were entitled to separate sentencing trials, as definition and moral capacity of 2 defendants can cause a jury to show mercy to one while refusing to show mercy on the other. Even if the death penalties were not upheld, each of the Carrs were already sentenced to serve at least 70 to 80 years in prison before being eligible for parole. Kansas Attorney General appealed the High Court's ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court, which was on March 2015, agreed to hear the Carr brothers' sentencing case, together the other death penalty cases from the state. In January 2016, the U.S. Supreme Court, in a ruling of 8-1, reinstated the death sentence, overturning the Kansas Supreme Court, deciding that neither the jury instructions that were challenged by the Carr's legal counsel nor the combination sentence proceeding violated the Constitution. The Kansas Supreme Court affirmed the death penalty for the brothers in January 21st, 2022. Now, the victims were white, and the Carr brothers were black, but the district attorney held that there was no prima facie evidence of racial crimes based on the robberies. Sedgwick County District Attorney Noah Falston decided against treating these incidents as hate crimes. Conservative media commentator David Hortz, Michael Mankins, and Thomas Sawell said the crimes were downplayed. They were felt the national media suppressed stories due to the political correctness, which nowadays that happens a lot. Sowell, an African American conservative, has said the media has doubled standards regarding interracial offenses, tending to play up victim crimes by whites against blacks, but play down, eventually, various crimes by blacks against whites. And Thomas Sowell, who is an American economist, social philosopher, and a political commentator. He is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institute with well-published commentary and books. And as a guest on TV and radio, he's become a well-known voice for the American conservative movement. I'm kind of curious who this guy is. Not because he's a conservative or anything like that, because I get whenever someone likes to comment on weird stuff like that, especially okay, I've never seen this guy. Oh no, I have. He's fucking genius too. Yeah, I've actually watched some of his stuff. I was just curious if I watched any of his stuff. But yeah, he's a Harvard graduate also. Didn't say Harvard graduate on his stuff. But yeah. Yeah, most of Thomas Sowell's books is Basic Economy, published in 2000, Social Justice Falsies in 2023, Black Regnet and the White Liberals. that, that's, I might actually buy that book just because of the cover. Yes, I'll judge it by a cover sometimes. Black Regnets and the White Liberals. That's fucking hilarious. I'm curious, and this was pushed out in like 2005. I'm really curious on this one. This explosive new challenge many of the long prevailed assumptions about blacks and about Jews, about Germans, about slavery, and about education is plain written, powerfully reasoned, and backed by a starting array of documented facts. Uh, Black Redneck, and I just can't get over the fact of the title. White liberals take on not only the trending intellectual, can't even say this stuff right. Too smart for my buy this book of other times, but also such historical interpretations of America Live as L.S.D. Turnigville and Frederick Law Olmsted. In these series of long essays, this book presented an in-depth look at key beliefs behind many mistaken and dangerous action, policies, and trends. It presents an eye-opening insight into historical development of ghetto culture. That is today wrongly seen as a unique black identity. The culture cheered on towards self-destruction by white liberals who consider themselves friends of blacks. This is just how it's done, so don't come at me. Come at me, I don't care. An essay titled "The Real History of Slavery" presented a jointing re-examination of that tragic institute and the narrowing a disordinate way it is too often seen today. The reasoning for the venomous hatred of Jews and the other groups like them in countries and around the world are exploited in the essay asked, are Jews generic misconception of German history in general and of the Nazi era particularly. So too are the inspiration and achievements of painful tragedies of black education in the United States. Black rednecks and white liberals is capture stone of decades of outstanding research and writing on racial and cultural issues by Thomas Sowell. I'm kind of curious on the reviews on this thing. Let me see here. Okay. I just there's a times that I just like read stuff and and I like the Amazon. I want to go with the 1 star first. Okay. More holes than Swiss cheese. And this was a review in April 26, 2023. I attempted to read this on a recommendation from a fan. I made it a chapter or so in it before coming here to write a review instead of telling her about the problems I have with it. I said, well, wants so badly to make common sense argument that he is badly missing the severe point against by page 30. To wit, black on black violence and poverties and black ghettos, and his words are no way connected to this systematic racism, which he does not even acknowledge despite the preponderance of the evidence shown in effect in education, housing, jobs, and other factors that tend to keep black people living in poor parts of the town. Okay. Even compromised to whites who identify with identical incomes and credit scores, even compared to whites with identical. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying not to disintegrate readers who found value in this, but it's sloppy scholarship leading to much credibility by libertarians with random interest and feeling that they are where they are in life underspent on the merit of their experience, any sort privilege. Read into it. If you can stomach more than 30 pages, then go read some Heinrich and Desmond. Now, here is my problem with, okay, I know we've gone past, we already did the whole, I did the Wichita Massacre. We did that. And yes, I watched there's a couple of news coverages and everything that show that they're going to be executed and whatnot. But I wonder if this is, and they brought in political activists. As an American author on political activists during the 1980s and early 1990s, who was a prominent figure in Democracy Socialist of America. That's why. Okay. And yes, this is me getting on my soapbox, and I apologize if we make it throughout this stage. And we get down to the nitty gritty. And I might be doing this more on What the Hell. I just might be doing it by myself on What the Hell. I really do like having guests on and can dispute the bullcrap that I am saying on times. And yes, sometimes when a person puts their opinion on there, it is usually bullcrap. And usually I'm wrong. I can't help that. But I'll even go with the other read that she suggested, something from Desmond. Because the first one, Heinrich, right, socialist, and it might be a good read. Who knows? I'm not gonna. I'll. I have to put author. Okay. And the very mean word. Okay. Let's get into this. Story about childhood in Africa. Desmond, very mean word. It was a powerful word, the secret of forgiveness when Desmond takes his new bicycle. I'm curious on this person. Desmond Tutu. I guess that's what she's talking about. Desmond Tutu in the future without forgiveness. Tutu argues on the true recollections cannot be achieved by denying its past. Looks the beast in the eye. Brought a bit of a life. Draws illustrations. Okay, I can't really get into the Desmond Tutu. I don't know if that is right, but other than that, in the side of this black redneck and white liberals, and yes, it popped out because my looking at things is more conservative, yes, but I still like to look on the other side and see what's out there, and sometimes I feel that it's wrong. Yes, sometimes I feel that some of this stuff is right. But what am I doing here? Let me go ahead and delete that. Okay. Now, it's so, and I'm going to probably do this on What the Hell. I'm not going to get into on this. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for all watching. I am going to get on this on the What the Hell episode, probably the next day this comes out. And hopefully I got some guests coming on. Hopefully I got to go reach out to some people. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for all watching. Love you guys. Take it easy. Goodbye.